The massive doors of the Galactic Council chambers opened with a deep rumble that echoed through the vast hall. Ambassador Daeho Kim walked forward slowly, his black boots clicking against the crystal floor. Above him, 12 different alien species sat in their high seats, looking down at the lone human with expressions that ranged from disgust to cold anger. The Veltari representative spoke first. Its crystal body glowed with blue light as it transmitted its words directly into everyone's mind. Human, you stand before the Galactic Council for the final time. Your species has ignored our warnings. You have broken our laws. You have expanded into space without permission. Daeho kept walking until he reached the center of the chamber. He stopped and looked up at the aliens without bowing or showing any sign of fear. His dark eyes met each of their gazes one by one. The Nethrix delegate floated in its gas form, shifting between different colors as it spoke. Humans have established 47 colonies in restricted space. You have built warships when we told you to build only peaceful vessels. You have refused to follow the rules that every civilized species must follow. Around the chamber, other council members nodded their agreement. The Kethrin clicked their claws against their seats. The Mordai flashed their warning lights. The ancient Zultek let out a low growl that vibrated through the floor. Daeho remained silent, his hands clasped behind his back. He had been Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council for 5 years. He had listened to their demands, their threats, and their ultimatums. Today would be different. The Veltari continued speaking, its mental voice growing stronger and more demanding. The Council has decided. Humanity must stop all military expansion immediately. You will surrender your colony ships to our forces. You will place all human worlds under Council oversight. You will reduce your population to approved levels. The chamber fell silent except for the low hum of the station's power systems. Daeho could feel the weight of 12 alien civilizations pressing down on him. These species had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had conquered worlds, destroyed entire races, and forced countless others to submit to their will. You have 30 standard cycles to comply. The Nethrix delegate added, its gas form turning a deep red color. If you refuse, the Council will use force to make you obey. We have destroyed species before. We will not hesitate to do so again. More aliens spoke up, adding their own threats and demands. The Kethrin wanted humans to hand over their faster-than-light technology. The Mordai demanded access to all human scientific research. The Zulthek simply wanted humans to acknowledge that they were inferior beings who needed alien guidance. Through it all, Daeho stood perfectly still. He listened to every word, memorized every threat, and noted every detail. When the last alien had finished speaking, the chamber grew quiet again. The Veltari leaned forward in its seat. Well, human? What is your species' answer to the Council's final ultimatum? Daeho reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. He placed it on the floor at his feet and activated it with the touch of a button. Immediately, music began to play throughout the entire chamber. It was Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the human composition known as Ode to Joy. The aliens recoiled in surprise and confusion. They were not familiar with human music, and the complex sounds seemed to disturb them. Some tried to block the transmission, but the device was broadcasting on frequencies they did not understand. Daeho looked up at the council members one more time. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear, carrying easily through the vast chamber despite the music. No. That single word hung in the air like a challenge. The aliens stared at him in shock. No species had ever simply refused a council ultimatum. No representative had ever stood before them and given such a direct, simple answer. The Veltari's crystal body flared with angry light. What did you say? Daeho smiled slightly. I said no. Humanity refuses your ultimatum. We will not surrender our ships. We will not place our worlds under your control. We will not reduce our population. We will continue to expand into space as we see fit. The chamber erupted in chaos. Aliens shouted in their various languages, demanding explanations and threatening immediate punishment. The Kethron began clicking rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. The Mordai flashed angry red lights. The Zultek roared so loudly that the floor shook. Through it all, the human music continued to play, growing louder and more triumphant with each passing moment. The sound seemed to fill every corner of the station, reaching into areas where no council transmission had ever gone before. Daeho turned and began walking toward the exit. The aliens screamed after him, demanding that he return and explain himself. They threatened him with death, with the destruction of Earth, with the complete annihilation of the human race. He did not turn around. He did not answer their threats. He simply walked away, leaving them with their anger and their confusion and the strange human music that they could not turn off. As he reached the doors, the Veltari's mental voice followed him one last time. "You have doomed your species, human. The Council will not forget this insult. We will crush humanity like the insects you are." Deho paused at the threshold and looked back over his shoulder. His smile had grown wider, and there was something in his eyes that made several of the aliens step back in their seats. "You are welcome to try," he said quietly. Then he walked through the doors and disappeared into the corridors of the station. Behind him, the council chamber continued to fill with the sound of human music. The small device he had left behind was more than just a music player. It was also a transmitter, sending detailed scans of the chamber, the station, and every alien present back to Earth. As Deho made his way to his ship, he activated his personal communicator. The message he sent was brief and simple. They took the bait. Proceeding to Phase 2. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Jinwoo Park received the message and smiled. The Council thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would cower before their threats. They had no idea what humanity had been preparing for the past 50 years. The symphony continued to play throughout Nexus Prime Station, a reminder that humanity had not just refused to submit. They had left behind a calling card, a promise that this was only the beginning of something much larger. Fleet Admiral Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Command, watching the blue planet slowly turn below him. His reflection stared back from the reinforced glass, showing a man in his 50s with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen too many battles. The communication from Ambassador Deho had arrived 3 hours ago. "And now everything would change, Admiral. The Joint Chiefs are ready for your briefing," said Captain Hyojin Lim, his aide-de-camp. She had served with him for 10 years and knew how to read his moods. Today he seemed almost relieved. Jinwoo nodded and walked to the main briefing room. Inside, dozens of screens showed star maps, ship positions, and tactical data that had been classified at the highest levels for decades. The Joint Chiefs sat around a large table, their faces serious as they waited for his report. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jinwoo began, "Ambassador Kim has delivered our message to the Galactic Council. As expected, they did not take it well. We now have 30 standard cycles before they begin military action against human space." General Myung Lee, head of the Strategic Defense Initiative, leaned forward. "How much time do we have before their fleets arrive at our outer colonies?" "Our intelligence suggests 45 to 50 days, Jinwoo replied. "More than enough time to complete Phase 2 of the Prometheus Protocol." Around the table, several officers smiled grimly. The Prometheus Protocol was humanity's greatest secret, a plan that had been in development since first contact with the Galactic Council 25 years ago. From the beginning, human leaders had suspected that peaceful coexistence would be impossible with alien species that viewed them as inferior. Dr. Young-Soo Nam, the head of advanced research, activated a holographic display above the table. It showed the human colonies that the Council knew about, scattered across 47 star systems. "The Council believes this represents the full extent of human expansion," he said. "They are wrong." The display changed, showing additional star systems lighting up one by one. Soon, over 120 star systems glowed with human presence. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the magnitude of what they were seeing. "We have been establishing hidden colonies for 15 years, Dr. Nam continued. "Each one appears to be a simple research outpost or mining operation. In reality, they are fully militarized positions with defensive capabilities that exceed anything the Council has seen before." Admiral Seong Hwan, commander of the Outer Rim Fleet, spoke up. "What about our ship numbers?" "The Council thinks we have maybe 200 warships." Jinwoo smiled for the first time that day. "Show them the real fleet positions, Dr. Nam." The holographic display zoomed out to show the entire galaxy. Thousands of red dots appeared, representing human vessels scattered throughout space. Most were disguised as cargo ships, research vessels, or civilian transports. All of them were actually warships. "We currently have operational control of 3,400 combat vessels," Dr. Nam announced. "Each one has been designed to appear harmless while carrying enough firepower to destroy a Council cruiser." Commander Taemin Kang, head of Special Operations, added more details. Our merchant ships carry retractable weapon systems. Our mining platforms are actually mobile battle stations. Our research outposts have planetary defense networks that can stop invasion fleets. The briefing continued for 2 hours as each department head revealed the true scope of human military preparation. Engineer Bo Rayun showed them the new adaptive armor systems that could absorb energy weapon fire and convert it to power their own systems. Scientist Hyun-soo Choi demonstrated the Fold Space Communication Network that allowed instant coordination across the galaxy. The Council has made one critical error, Jin-woo said as the briefing neared its end. They assume that humans think like other species. They believe we will build a few large fleets and try to defend specific positions. They do not understand that we have turned our entire civilization into a weapon. Captain Lim brought up the final display, showing human population centers throughout the galaxy. Every colony has been designed with defense in mind. Every human settlement can transform into a fortress. Every civilian has been trained in basic military operations. The room was quiet as everyone considered the implications. Humanity had spent 25 years preparing for this moment, and they had done so in complete secrecy. The Council's intelligence networks had detected none of it. General Lee asked the question that everyone was thinking. Admiral, what are our chances of victory? Jinwoo stood and walked to the large window overlooking Earth. Below, he could see the lights of cities and the orbital platforms that surrounded the planet. Each one looked peaceful and civilian, but he knew the truth. Even Earth itself was a weapon now, protected by defensive systems that could destroy entire fleets. The Council has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, he said slowly. They have advanced technology, massive fleets, and experience in countless wars. They see us as primitives who have been in space for only 200 years. He turned back to face the room. But they have never fought humans before. They do not understand how we think, how we prepare, or how we fight. They expect us to surrender when they show us their superior numbers. Instead, they are about to learn why humanity does not surrender. The meeting ended with orders being transmitted throughout human space. Across the galaxy, seemingly innocent civilian vessels began subtle course corrections. Research stations powered up weapon systems that had been hidden for years. Mining operations revealed themselves to be mobile battle platforms. On the hidden world of New Busan, Captain Daewon Kim received orders to activate the Avalanche Defense Network. Within hours, asteroid fields throughout the system had been transformed into weapons platforms that could coordinate their fire across light years. At the Luna shipyards, engineer Soo-jin Park watched as the final batch of civilian vessels rolled off the production lines. Each one looked like a simple cargo hauler, but their hulls concealed weapons that could punch through Council battle armor. Throughout human space, the greatest deception in galactic history was coming to an end. For 25 years, humanity had pretended to be a weak, peaceful species that barely understood advanced technology. Now they would reveal the truth. Admiral Jinwoo Park sent one final message to all human commanders. The Council believes they are hunting rabbits. Tomorrow, they will learn they have awakened dragons. Prepare for Phase 3. Show them what humanity really is. In the depths of space, human vessels that had been playing the role of helpless merchants began dropping their disguises. Weapon ports opened, shield generators powered up, stealth systems activated. The galaxy was about to change forever, and the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. Fleet Commander Veltar Zenth floated in his crystal chamber aboard the massive council, Dreadnought Eternal Authority. His crystalline body pulsed with blue energy as he reviewed the final reports from his intelligence officers. Around him, holographic displays showed the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 3,000 warships from 12 different species hung in space around the Nexus Prime Station. Each vessel represented centuries of advanced technology and military experience. The Veltari had brought their crystal ships that could channel pure energy. The Nethrix contributed their gas-form vessels that could phase through solid matter. The Kethran fleet bristled with weapons that had conquered 100 worlds. Commander Zenth, came the mental voice of Nethrix Prime Consciousness. Our scouts report that human defensive positions remain minimal. Their outer colonies show no signs of military buildup. Veltar examined the intelligence reports with satisfaction. Human space appeared exactly as expected for a primitive species. 47 lightly defended colonies, a small fleet of outdated warships, and civilian populations that seemed unaware of the coming storm. How many human warships have our scouts identified? Veltar asked his intelligence chief. A spider-like arachne, whose sensors could detect ships across multiple dimensions. 237 confirmed military vessels. The arachne clicked in response. Most appear to be converted civilian ships with basic weapons. Their largest vessels are less than half the size of our smallest cruisers. Veltar's crystal body glowed brighter with amusement. The humans had defied the Council with a fleet that was barely a fraction of the force now assembled against them. It would be the shortest war in galactic history. Admiral Kethvar of the Kethron spoke up from his position on the bridge. My species has fought humans before in small skirmishes. They are aggressive but lack tactical sophistication. They rely on brute force rather than strategy. Around the command center, other species commanders nodded in agreement. The Mordai had studied human military history and found it primitive compared to galactic standards. The Zultek considered humans to be barely above animals in intelligence. The plan is simple, Veltar announced to the assembled fleet commanders. We will attack in 3 waves. The first wave of 1,000 ships will strike their outer colonies and demonstrate our superior firepower. When they see the futility of resistance, they will surrender. The holographic display showed the attack plan in detail. The first wave would target the human colonies closest to Council space. The second wave would advance to their core systems. The third wave would deliver the final blow to Earth itself, ending human expansion forever. What if they refuse to surrender after the first wave? Asked Mordai battle leader Zixith, her bioluminescent patches flashing with curiosity. Veltar's mental laughter echoed through the chamber. Then we will destroy them completely. The Council has decided that humanity is too dangerous to be allowed to continue existing. This will serve as an example to any other primitive species that might consider defying our authority. The commanders spent the next several hours reviewing tactical details. Their ships carried weapons that could crack planets and shields that had never been penetrated. The humans had nothing that could match such technology. On Earth, President Bo-Ra Yoon stood before the United Earth Assembly in emergency session. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from every human nation and colony. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Citizens of Earth, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. 25 years ago, we made first contact with the Galactic Council. We hoped for peaceful cooperation and mutual respect. Instead, we discovered a group of ancient species that view all other life as inferior. The assembly listened in complete silence as she continued. For 25 years, we have pretended to be weak and compliant while preparing for this day. The Council has given us an ultimatum: surrender or be destroyed. Today, we give them our answer. She activated a holographic display that showed the true extent of human military preparation. Gasps echoed through the chamber as representatives saw the hidden fleets, the disguised weapons, and the secret colonies that had been built in complete secrecy. We choose to fight, President Yoon declared, not because we seek war, but because we refuse to bow to tyrants. Humanity will not surrender, humanity will not submit, and humanity will not be destroyed. The vote was unanimous, 2,147 to 0 in favor of resistance. Meanwhile, Captain Taemin Kang piloted his stealth ship Silent Arrow through the edge of Council space, gathering final intelligence on enemy fleet movements. His sensors detected the massive Council armada preparing for departure, but his ship remained invisible to their detection systems. Command, this is Silent Arrow, he reported through the encrypted Fold Space communication network. Council First Wave consists of 1,000 ships as expected. They are proceeding to jump coordinates for Kepler 442 system as predicted. Back on the Council flagship, Veltar received confirmation that the first wave was ready to depart. The 1,000 ships formed into attack formation, their weapons charged and shields at maximum power. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level a city. Begin the attack, Veltar commanded. Show these humans the price of defying the Galactic Council. The first wave ships activated their jump drives and disappeared into hyperspace, heading for the Kepler 442 system, where humans had established what appeared to be a lightly defended mining colony. The Council expected to crush the human defenders within hours and force an immediate surrender. What they did not know was that Admiral Sung Hwan was waiting for them with a trap that had been 50 years in the making. The mining colony in Kepler 442 was actually the most heavily fortified position in human space, protected by weapons and defenses that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. As the Council ships traveled through hyperspace toward what they believed would be an easy victory, human forces throughout the galaxy received the activation signal. Across 100 star systems, disguised weapons came online. Hidden fleets powered up their engines, and civilian populations took cover in underground bunkers that had been prepared for decades. The war that would reshape the galaxy was about to begin, and only one side knew what was really coming. Veltar settled back in his crystal chamber, confident that within hours he would receive reports of complete victory over the human defenders. He had no way of knowing that he had just sent his forces into the greatest military trap in galactic history. The humans were done pretending to be weak. Now they would show the galaxy what they had really been building in the shadows for 25 years. Admiral Seung-hwan Oh stood on the bridge of the human dreadnought Terra's Wrath, watching the empty space around Kepler 442 on his tactical display. To any observer, the system looked exactly as the Council expected, a small mining colony with minimal defenses and perhaps a dozen patrol ships. The reality was very different. Hidden throughout the system were 400 human warships, their stealth systems making them invisible to Council sensors. Weapon platforms disguised as asteroids drifted in carefully planned positions. The mining colony itself was actually a fortress that could withstand planetary bombardment. Admiral, Council ships are dropping out of hyperspace, reported Captain Hyejin Lim from her position at the sensor station. 1,000 vessels, just as intelligence predicted. Seung-hwan nodded calmly. He had been waiting for this moment. For 15 years, ever since taking command of the Outer Rim Defense Force, every simulation, every training exercise, every piece of equipment had been designed for this battle. The Council fleet emerged from hyperspace in a perfect attack formation. Their ships were massive and beautiful, representing thousands of years of advanced technology. Crystal Veltari vessels gleamed like jewels in the starlight. Nethrix gas-form ships shimmered and changed color as they moved. The Kethran warships bristled with weapons that had conquered countless worlds. Fleet Commander Veltar Zenth transmitted his demands across all frequencies. Human defenders, you are outnumbered 50 to 1. Surrender immediately and you will be allowed to evacuate to prison worlds. Resist, and you will be destroyed. Admiral Seung-hwan activated his communication system and responded with a calm, steady voice. Council fleet, you have entered human space without permission. You have 30 seconds to reverse course and leave this system. This is your only warning. The Council ships responded with laughter across their communication channels. The idea that humans would threaten a force 50 times their size seemed absurd to aliens, who had ruled the galaxy for millennia. So be it, Seung-hwan said quietly. Then he gave the order that changed galactic history forever. All units, drop stealth. Show them what humanity really is. Across the Kepler 442 system, space itself seemed to come alive. Asteroids revealed themselves to be massive weapon platforms. Empty space flickered as hundreds of human ships dropped their cloaking systems. The small mining colony unfolded like a flower, exposing weapon systems that dwarfed anything on the Council ships. The Council fleet found themselves surrounded by 400 human warships that had appeared from nowhere. But the real shock came when the humans opened fire. Human weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of simple energy beams or projectiles, they fired adaptive munitions that learned from each impact. The first shots were absorbed by Council shields, but the second shots penetrated deeper. The third shots went through the shields entirely. Captain Young Soo Nam commanded the destroyer Soul's Pride as it engaged a massive Veltari cruiser. His weapons officer had trained for years to fight crystal-based technology. Target their resonance frequency, he ordered. Let's see how they like having their own energy turned against them. The human weapons found the frequency that made the Veltari ship vibrate apart from within. The crystal vessel, which had survived battles for centuries, shattered into 1,000,000 pieces in seconds. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human tactics proved devastatingly effective. The Nethrix gas-form ships found that human weapons could target their molecular structure, forcing them back into solid matter where they became vulnerable. The Kethron discovered that their advanced shields meant nothing against weapons that adapted faster than their defenses could compensate. But the greatest shock for the Council forces came from how the human ships fought together. Every vessel moved in perfect coordination as if controlled by a single mind. When one ship was damaged, others immediately moved to cover it. When an enemy showed weakness, dozens of human ships focused their fire with surgical precision. Commander Tae Min Kang led a squadron of stealth fighters in attacks on the Council command ships. His pilots had been training in secret for 20 years, developing tactics that no alien species had ever encountered. They struck from impossible angles, disappeared when fired upon, and reappeared behind enemy lines. "This is impossible," transmitted Kethron Admiral Kethvar as his flagship came under attack from human fighters that seemed to phase in and out of reality. "How can primitives have technology more advanced than ours?" Admiral Sung Hwan heard the transmission and smiled grimly. "Because we never stopped learning. While you grew comfortable with your ancient technology, we spent 25 years preparing for this day." The battle raged for 6 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human ships that took damage repaired themselves using nanotechnology that rebuilt armor plating and weapon systems faster than the Council forces could destroy them. Human weapons grew more effective with each shot, as their adaptive systems learned to counter alien defenses. Captain Bo Rayun commanded the carrier New Horizon, deploying swarms of AI-controlled fighters that fought like a collective organism. Each drone learned from the experiences of every other drone, creating a hive mind that grew smarter and deadlier with each passing minute. The Council forces began to retreat when their casualties reached 30%, but Admiral Sung Hwan was not finished with them. "Let some escape," he ordered his fleet. "We want survivors to carry word back to the Council." When the battle ended, 800 Council ships had been destroyed or disabled. Only 200 managed to escape back to hyperspace, carrying with them impossible stories of human technology and tactics that defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare. Admiral Sung Hwan opened a channel to the fleeing ships and delivered a message that would echo throughout Council space. "You came here believing you were fighting primitives. You have learned that humanity is not what you expected. Return to your masters and tell them this. We offered you peace. You chose war. Now you will learn why that was a mistake." The surviving Council ships fled toward their own space, carrying news that would terrify the Galactic Council. The humans had not just won a battle. They had demonstrated technology and tactics that made the Council's ancient advantages meaningless. On Nexus Prime Station, Fleet Commander Veltar Zenth received the reports from his surviving ships and could not believe what he was hearing. 1,000 Council vessels defeated by 400 human ships? Impossible. His commanders must be lying or exaggerating their losses. But as more reports came in, the truth became undeniable. The humans had revealed capabilities that no intelligence service had detected. They had weapons that adapted to any defense, ships that repaired themselves, and coordination that suggested some form of group consciousness. For the first time in his 1,000-year existence, Veltar felt something he had never experienced before: fear. The first wave had failed completely. The second wave would need to be larger, better prepared, and ready for an enemy that fought unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. But even as the Council prepared their response, human forces throughout the galaxy were dropping their disguises and revealing the true extent of their military preparation. The war was just beginning, and the balance of power in the galaxy was already shifting. Fleet Admiral Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of the massive human dreadnought Earth's Defiance as it dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Nexus Prime system. Behind him, 1,200 human warships emerged from the void like predators stepping out of the shadows. The sight was magnificent and terrifying. Each ship bore the markings of different human colonies, but they moved with perfect unity. The fleet that the Galactic Council had believed impossible now hung in space before their most important station, a demonstration of power that no alien species could ignore. "Admiral," reported Captain Hyojin Lim, "we are receiving surrender offers from 6 different Council species. The Mordai are requesting immediate negotiations. The Arachni want to switch sides entirely." Jinwoo nodded but kept his eyes fixed on Nexus Prime Station ahead. The massive structure was home to billions of aliens and served as the political center of the galaxy. For thousands of years it had been the symbol of council authority. Today it would become the symbol of their defeat. "Open a channel to the station," he ordered. "All frequencies. I want every being in the galaxy to hear this." The communication systems of the human fleet synchronized, creating a transmission powerful enough to reach every inhabited world in the galaxy. When Jinwoo spoke, his words were heard by trillions of beings across thousands of star systems. "People of the galaxy," he began, his voice calm and clear. "I am Fleet Admiral Jinwoo Park of the United Earth Defense Force. For 25 years, the Galactic Council has ruled over you with fear and oppression. They have told you that resistance is impossible, that their authority cannot be challenged. On Nexus Prime Station, emergency meetings were already in progress as council members tried to understand how humanity had hidden such a massive fleet. The intelligence reports had been completely wrong. Humans did not have 200 ships. They had 6 times that number surrounding the station right now. Today that changes," Jinwoo continued. "Humanity rejects the Council's authority. We call upon every oppressed species to stand up and reclaim their freedom. The age of alien tyranny is ending." In the council chambers, Fleet Commander Veltar Zenth screamed orders at his remaining forces. The second and third waves of the council attack had been destroyed just as completely as the first. Entire fleets that had ruled the galaxy for millennia had been swept aside by human forces that seemed to appear from nowhere. "How many ships do they really have?" demanded Nethrix's prime consciousness, its gas form shifting through desperate colors. "Our latest estimates suggest over 3,000 combat vessels," replied the Arachne intelligence chief, its multiple eyes focused on tactical displays that showed human forces positioned around every major council world simultaneously. The truth was even more staggering than they realized. Humanity had not built a traditional fleet at all. They had built an entire civilization designed for war. Every colony, every space station, every seemingly civilian vessel had been constructed with hidden military capabilities. President Bo Rai Yoon appeared on the communication screens throughout the galaxy, addressing the oppressed peoples directly. "For too long you have lived under the boot of the Council. They have stolen your resources, enslaved your populations, and destroyed any who dared to resist. But you are not alone anymore." She activated a display that showed the true extent of human expansion. Over 150 star systems glowed with human presence, each one a fortress capable of defending itself against entire fleets. The Council had been surrounded for years without knowing it. "Humanity offers you a choice," President Yoon continued. "Join us in creating a new galaxy where all species are equal, or continue to live under the Council's oppression. The decision is yours." On the bridge of Earth's defiance, Admiral Jinwoo watched as responses came in from across the galaxy. The Veltari homeworld had already fallen to a human task force that had been in position for months. The Kethran were requesting terms for surrender. Smaller species that had been enslaved by the Council were declaring independence and asking for human protection. "Sir," reported Commander Young-Soo Nam, "we have a transmission from Ambassador Dae-ho Kim. He is requesting permission to return to the Council chambers." Jinwoo smiled. "Granted. It's time to finish this." Inside Nexus Prime Station, Ambassador Dae-ho Kim walked through corridors filled with panicking aliens. The same beings who had looked down on him with contempt now stepped aside in fear as he passed. He was no longer a representative of a weak species begging for recognition. He was the voice of the new galactic order. The council chambers were in chaos when he arrived. The 12 species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were reduced to frightened beings huddled behind force fields, arguing about surrender terms and trying to save what remained of their power. Dae-ho walked to the center of the chamber, the same spot where he had delivered humanity's defiant no just weeks earlier. This time the aliens fell silent when they saw him. "Honorable council members," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "I have returned to discuss terms." Veltar Zenth's crystal body flickered with desperate energy. "Terms? Your species should be grateful we are willing to negotiate at all. You have committed acts of war against sovereign worlds." Dae-ho smiled the same calm smile he had worn during their first confrontation. "You are confused. We are not here to negotiate our surrender. We are here to accept yours." The chamber erupted in angry voices, but Dae-ho continued speaking over them. "The Galactic Council is dissolved as of this moment. Any species that wishes to join the new Galactic Federation may apply for membership. Any species that chooses to continue the old ways of oppression will be dealt with accordingly. This is impossible, screamed the Mordai representative. You cannot simply replace us. We have ruled for thousands of years, and your rule ends today, Deho replied calmly. He activated a holographic display that showed human forces positioned around every council homeworld. You have a choice. Accept the new order peacefully or be removed by force. You have seen what happens when you fight humanity. I do not recommend trying again. Meanwhile, engineer Mi-Young Lee sat in a secret facility deep beneath Earth's surface, her hands moving across control panels that connected to communication networks throughout the galaxy. Project Harmony, humanity's greatest technological achievement, was about to go online. Admiral, she reported to Jinwoo. Project Harmony is ready for activation. All systems are green. Do it, Jinwoo ordered. Let's give the galaxy something the Council never could. Across the galaxy, every species with communication technology suddenly found themselves connected to a vast network that bypassed all Council monitoring systems. For the first time in galactic history, beings from different worlds could speak directly to each other without Council oversight. The effect was immediate and devastating to Council authority. Oppressed species began coordinating resistance movements. Enslaved populations shared information about Council weakness. The network of fear and control that had held the galaxy together for millennia collapsed in hours. Captain Tae-Min Kang commanded the task force that had taken the Veltari homeworld without firing a shot. The crystal beings had surrendered the moment they realized that human ships had been hiding in their system for months, waiting for the order to reveal themselves. The galaxy is changing faster than anyone predicted, he reported to Admiral Jinwoo. 17 species have already applied to join the Federation. The Council's authority is collapsing everywhere. In the Council chambers, Deho delivered the final terms. Any Council member who wishes to retire peacefully may do so. Any who choose to continue oppressing others will be stopped. The galaxy belongs to all its people now, not just to those who happen to develop space travel first. The Council's surrender was not dramatic. There were no grand speeches or ceremonial treaties. One by one, the ancient species simply accepted that their time was over. The galaxy had moved beyond them. As Deho left the chambers for the final time, the human music that had played weeks earlier began broadcasting again throughout the station. But this time it was joined by music from hundreds of other species, all playing together in harmony. Admiral Jinwoo looked out at the stars from his bridge and smiled. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it. The real work of building a free and equal galactic civilization was just beginning, but the hardest part was over. The age of the Galactic Council was finished. The age of the Galactic Federation had begun.